Well, hi, Kristen. Super excited to have you with us today.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, great. Well, Kristen Smith from San Antonio, Texas. Where do I start? I found you on Facebook, educating other realtors and the general population through different sources of media, TikTok, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But then I started looking, Kristen, at your background and the things that you've done. And just a quick rundown before we hear a little bit more from you, kind of dive in to the details. You served in the armed forces for 23 years. Thank you for your service, by the way.
Thank you.
Started in real estate within the last 7 years. TV host, production manager. I mean, so many hats. There's only one head, and you got all these hats. And now TikTok master. And that's exciting to us. So, we want to get to know you a little bit better. And for those that will watch this later, to kind of dive in a little bit, maybe you could tell us about your 23 years in the Air Force and kind of where it led up to real estate and today.
Okay, great. So I was in the Air Force, like you said, for 23 years, and I was a medic. Majority of the time I did what's called airvac. So that's where you transform the inside of a cargo aircraft into a flying hospital. And that's how you get your patients from one location to another. And a good portion of that time, I was also a teacher. So I was instructing. When it came time for me to retire, I got my master's degree in education because I absolutely love to teach. And I was planning on teaching elementary school.
Oh, wow.
And my daughter got sick. She was having to see doctors multiple times a week. And I knew that there was no way that I was going to be able to have a Monday through Friday job and that I was going to be able to take care of her the way that she needed to be. And I had a realtor friend at the time that said, "Hey, you need to go into real estate." And I looked at her like she had two heads. And I'm like, I have no idea why you would even say this. She's like, "Well, as a medic, you like to help people. And you like to teach, and you get to do that every day as a realtor." And I just took her advice and went with it. And I am so glad I did. I couldn't imagine if I was teaching elementary school right now.
Wow. So you had a friend that saw your good qualities in you, saw what it takes to help educate people, what you've done for years in the Air Force. And now as you transition to be able to come out and use those skills, people skills, and your educational drive and passion, that's amazing. And tell us a little bit about your real estate. So, have you mainly stayed on the seller side or the buyer side, or both, or how's that working for you?
I do both buyers and sellers. So I work on both sides, just about equal, half and half.
Got it. No, that's great. And San Antonio market. I watched one of your videos just earlier today, actually, and I understand there's a lot of inventory there. That's what I
Yes.
saw or heard.
Yes. So we are not like what the national news is saying. We do not have a shortage here. We actually have more inventory than we've had in years.
Wow.
So we have a surplus of inventory, and with the rates that are going down, we're not going to have to worry about those bidding wars. And actually, they're expecting for our home prices to possibly even drop about 2%.
That's
So
that's amazing. So, are you seeing an influx of people either from California, other states starting to relocate there, or are you seeing others that already live there purchasing second homes and investment properties, or combination?
well, we see all of it. So San Antonio, one of our big is we're Military City USA. We
Right.
have multiple military installations here. So we have members coming in and out all the time. And we also have a huge medical programs here. So we have a lot of medical training going on that has people coming in and out. So, and then of course, just our regular locals as well. But I do see a large group of individuals from the West Coast.
Ah, I think we've been sending people out there because
Right.
I
But
have heard. Go
I
ahead.
read an article recently and it talked about how majority of the individuals coming to Texas are from California, but the number one place where Texans are going to is California.
We're going like this. Huh?
Isn't that crazy?
Wow, no kidding. That's I wonder why they're coming here for, unless maybe they just want to see the beach for a little bit and be like, okay, this is way too
Right.
crazy expensive and out of control. I'm gonna go back to where I can have a big, beautiful, gorgeous home on land and you know, but that's
Yes.
amazing. I did not know that. Ah, okay. Well, that's good information. And you know, with sometimes people, I'm sure you get asked this question too, and I do as well. John, Kristen, is now a good time to buy? Should I wait? I hear their interest rates might be dropping this year. What's your response to that?
So what I always tell everybody is never try to time the market. If you try to time the market, it's not going to work out. But it's when it's right for you. If it's the right
Mm.
time for you to buy, then now's the time, perfect time for you to buy. If it's the right time for you to sell, then it is. So the biggest thing is don't time the market. Go based upon when it's best for you.
Oh, that's really wise advice. And I know out here in California, some of our realtor partners out here will answer it, yes, it's absolutely a good time to buy if it's the right time for you. And part of that reason is because, especially in Southern California here, Orange County and everything, the inventory is so sparse. There's
Mhm.
not much of it out there. And so and then when the interest rates went where they went, a lot of people jumped on the fence instead of they jumped out of the game and they jumped on the fence to see, okay, what's going to happen next? And people were waiting and asking the question, well, now a good time? And because of those higher interest rates and trying to, the Fed's looking at stabilizing things, um, it actually became a decent time, like you said. If
Mhm.
if it's a good time for you, you love that house, buy it. Buy it now when the bidding wars are low, and we'll refinance you. We're using a lot of the temporary rate buy down strategies
Right.
as well. Along with that, we have free appraisals that come with that too. So people have been kind of jumping on that part, and then down the line, we'll refinance them as things go. But San Antonio, it sounds like what a hot market, an opportunity there.
It's a great stable market. I mean, it's an amazing city anyway, but this is a great place for real estate.
Yeah, and that's the Alamo is there.
Yes, yes,
Okay,
we have the Alamo, and you'd be surprised how small it is in person. You think it's this gigantic,
right.
structure, but it's this little small.
Yeah, I was trying to remember back in school, and I actually had to look it up because I thought, is it in Houston? Is it? Oh, where is it? And so that was my little tidbit to say, okay, it's in San Antonio, but I didn't realize it's such a kind of a smaller. I would have thought, yeah, it's a big thing like the St. Louis Arch or something.
Right? No.
No. Well, hey, Kristen, another question that I really wanted to ask you is, you've done so much for the country. You continue giving back to the communities, and um, but it's no secret we've had a pandemic. Some things still linger in there. Some of us have even, unfortunately, lost people that we know during that pandemic time. But also, some of our friends have lost their businesses. They've lost, and they've lost a lot of business, and some of them have been able to recover. But during this time period, I like to ask the question is, how have you pivoted, or what adjustments have you had to make in order to stay successful?
Well, I think a big thing, and it's funny because you and I were just mentioning this, earlier, is mindset. If you have the mindset that this is going to be awful and that your career is going to be awful, then it's going to be awful.
Yeah,
But if you have the abundance mindset, then it's going to be completely different.
yeah,
So having that mindset always, but pivoting the career, just going with, finding new ways, When we had the pandemic started up and we weren't able to get together with our clients, we started having Zoom calls. And
Yes.
doing that, we started doing more virtual showings instead of open houses. So
Mhm.
just making sure that, thinking of, okay, what can I do to get over this obstacle? And just continually, looking at the processes, what can I do better?
Yeah, that's good. Here's a question for you. Prior to the pandemic, how many Zoom calls were you doing?
None. None.
Big
I mean,
fat
I
zero.
might do some FaceTime ones now with because I
Yeah.
do a lot of military reload. So I might do, that. But other than that, none.
Right? Yeah. I was thinking back, somebody asked me that question the other day. I went, hmm, I don't think I really did any, right? And yet once, at least for California, because we were on lockdown for quite a while, even at the
Right.
beaches, which was kind of crazy. But um, once things started to open back up, there were still a lot of folks that were a little reticent about, going out in public and maybe for good reason, for their own health, but still some that maybe could have got back out to the population and met in person again. Um, even admittedly or admitted to me that they still just wanted to stay, behind on Zoom and everything. So, I thought about that. I went, you know, if you had the opportunity to stay behind on Zoom and just talk this way versus going and meeting in person, what are your thoughts on that?
I always like personal interaction. So I know that, now they've done these studies saying that when you do a Zoom call and we're sitting here watching each other, that our minds don't know the difference. We think that we're actually there in person talking to each other. But I still like that human connection
Yeah,
and that meeting in person. So I'll take that every day.
yeah, me too. And I've always been a firm believer as well that people buy from people, right? And thank God we've had Zoom so that we, and other forms, FaceTime and things like that, so that we can still have that human interaction via visual. But I appreciate your take on that too. I share the same, feeling. If I can have a choice between a personal meeting and a Zoom call, I will take the personal meeting and as much as I possibly can. Well, we talked about pivoting. We talked about having to make adjustments. One of the biggest adjustments that caught my attention with you is your use of social media, specifically TikTok. Now, I thought that was for kids. I'm going to the mall today, take a little video
Right.
or whatever. But you're using it for business. Can you share about that?
Right. Right. So I had a coach that 2 years ago, she told me, she said, if you're not doing video, you're going to be irrelevant in the next 5 years. And that really made
Ooh,
me, sit up, pay attention. So I started
yeah.
looking at the platforms, and I'm not tech savvy at all. I'm like the least I can plug it into the wall, but that's it, you know. I started looking at the platforms and I was intimidated by YouTube, by Instagram. I didn't even want to figure out, like, I had no idea how I would edit. So I'm like, let me look at TikTok. Let me check out TikTok. And then the more and more I learned about TikTok, it's funny because everybody thinks that it's this dancing app and it's for
Yeah,
the young kids.
right.
All ages are on there. In fact, TikTok doesn't want to be known for that. They want to be known for to have an educational platform. And if you look, TikTok is actually the number one SEO for individuals to figure out how to do stuff. And if you think about it, it makes sense because our attention span keeps getting
Wow.
less and less. It
Yeah.
used to be that we would go Google it and we
Yeah,
would read
Google
about
it.
it. And then we'd go to YouTube because we got
Right.
tired of reading it. We'd go to YouTube, look it up, and we'd watch a, 10, 20-minute video. Well, now we don't have time to sit there, and watch that. So now you can go to TikTok and watch a 60-second video
Wow.
on what you need.
I had no idea. And I think you mentioned something else that TikTok, you can actually go in and like search, like a category, real estate or mortgage or things like that.
Right. So what's good about, when you go on Facebook, then the individuals that you see in your algorithm on Facebook, that's going to be your friends. the individuals that you grew up with, your family, whoever you accepted on your friends, that's who you're going to see. And those might not be individuals that you want to do business with. If your
Right.
Facebook is anything like mine, it's all individuals in the real estate industry, and they're not
Yeah.
going to buy a home from me.
Right. Exactly.
You know? So, but what's great about TikTok is you have a different audience for every video. It puts your algorithm is constantly changing. If you've been going in and you've been searching or liking videos that have to do with houses, you're going to see more videos on houses. You know, if
Oh,
you go in there and you're looking at recipes on how to cook stuff, you're going to see more you're going to see more video on that. And what's crazy is I was going back through and I was looking at the different the analysis for my videos, and over 95% of the individuals that see my videos are not the individuals that follow me.
wow. No kidding.
So it just gives you this huge opportunity for so many more individuals to actually see you.
That's amazing. So give me an example, if you would, of like maybe one of your best watched videos.
So I have a video that I created last April. It's only about 9 seconds long, and it has over 4 million views. And it's been watched, and actually I looked this up, over 8,600 hours it's been viewed. So there's what, 8,760 hours in a year. So it's almost continuously been playing and people seeing it for over a year.
For 9 seconds?
Yes.
What's the topic, if I can ask?
Yes. Well, that one has to do with Taylor Swift in the
Oh,
Taylor Swift concert. So
wow. No wonder. Were you sure they weren't all Travis on there? You know, like,
that one was before the Travis.
oh, okay, okay.
So, but it's fine. My community knows that I'm a huge Swiftie. So
Okay. Okay. Wow. That's just mind blowing to me. And, I'm happy if I get like 40 people to look at one of my videos. So would you say that TikTok has been an effective way for you to grow your business?
yes, and I would have never guessed that would have grown my business the way it has. So far, I've closed 20 transactions. I have
Whoa.
3 in escrow, and I have a good pipeline. And I absolutely love my TikTok clients. And it's a completely different atmosphere. They're coming to me and they're asking me to help them. It's not me chasing them. They're asking me to help them. And it also puts individuals that I would have never met before. So I have, for instance, one of my buyers that's under contract right now. The neatest family ever. They lived in Houston. They sold their house, sold everything a couple years ago, bought an RV,
Oh,
and they traveled with their kids across the nation in the RV, homeschooled, and then now they want to buy a house. So we recently got under contract. So I mean, it's people I would have never had the opportunity to meet before, and they have amazing stories.
that's incredible. And so here you are just offering value, educating people about the home buying process, maybe sharing what open houses are coming up, and you're sharing, they're seeing that, they're coming to you. So you're not out there door knocking and pounding the pavement and doing those kinds of things. You're using TikTok, the number one search engine in the world, to help grow your business and, more importantly, help other people. When you help other people, then obviously the growth of your business and the monies follow. So what a fantastic way that you're doing so.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you know, I know we could talk for hours on your successes and what you've done, and I'm going to have you back on another podcast that we're going to do very shortly. It's called The Mindset of a Champion, and I think we were talking earlier. All moms qualify for that show. Every mom I know is a champion or a rock star. But there's athletes, there's realtors, there's all kinds of people that are champions in their craft, and everybody has a mindset tidbit that they might want to share. So we're going to have that, and I'd love to have you back on that
Oh, that
podcast
would
as
be
well.
amazing.
Yeah, that'll be super. Well, there's one last question I'd like to ask you, Kristen. And, for all those small business owners that may be watching this, or perhaps you're a solopreneur, what advice would you have to be successful moving into 2024 and beyond?
To get out of your head and make the videos.
Ooh,
Just
I
make them.
like that. Just do it. Almost like a Nike. Just do it. Now,
Right.
I'm in my head, meaning that I'm scared. I don't know how to do this. I'm not good with technology. Are people going to laugh at me? How do I overcome that?
And that's what's great with TikTok. TikTok, they want the authentic you. I could be in my hoodie, my hair up in a bun, no makeup on, and they don't care. They want you to be authentic. So nobody cares. And don't worry about, there's always going to be haters out there. There's going to be those
Sure.
individuals, but it doesn't matter. When those individuals go on and they make comments, I actually thank them.
Thanks
Hey,
for watching.
thank you so much. Thank you, because you're actually boosting the algorithm.
That's
But
interesting.
but just don't worry what other people think. It doesn't matter what they think. And if you're that worried about being on screen, a tip that I have is to use the green screen so that you have the picture behind you, minimize yourself so that you're small, put yourself off to the side, and start that way.
What a great tip. And I look forward to when we're offline here. I would love to take one of your TikTok tutorial classes to learn more. My wife and I were talking about that. We're trying to, we'd love to reach the right audiences as well. But like I say, we're gonna do now. I did have one other question there. What's the length of, can you do like reels and longer videos on there, or is TikTok just, quick, short? How does that
You can
work?
do up to 10 minutes, but you got to remember people's attention span
Right.
is not that long. So there are times when I'll have longer videos, but never over 2 minutes. And I try to keep them all at 60, right around 60 seconds.
Great rule of thumb. Okay. Well, Kristen, thank you so much for joining us today. We are so excited that you're crushing it in the San Antonio markets over there and helping your community, giving back from not only from the military and from the Air Force, but now you're giving back to your local communities there too. So we thank you for that, and we really hope that this video will help others all over the nation, if not the world, get to know you a little bit better as we've been able to do today. So I really thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much. And this was a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.